Okay, we're gonna talk about, man, how much has the world changed in the last few days, huh? But we're here. It's the time to step in front of the curve. It's not the time to fall asleep, and it's not the time to freak out. Keep your head about you, and we're gonna figure out something between all of us. And this is what we're here to talk about. But before we do that, I would be remiss if I don't mention that my book is finally out all the way. No more announcements of maybe. The paperback came out today. You can order on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, a bunch of places. You can also buy the Kindle, and the Kindle is only $10. If you want to go and buy it, you should buy it. A lot of great stuff here, and leave me a good review, please. So again, most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes. We're talking about positioning, but who wants to talk about positioning when we have the virus and the quarantine and Trump and all the stuff going on around us, okay? So today we're going to talk about remote work and why companies have not figured out remote work and why this is a perfect time for this whole trend to completely accelerate, okay? Now, if you haven't figured out how to work from home, if you haven't figured out how to hire people remotely, right? How to hire people to help you out, how to interview them, how to vet them, how to keep track of them. If you haven't figured out how to be on lockdown and be on everybody's quarantine, but be able to still be productive, then this is for you. So we're going to talk about two groups of people here. All right, it's really three, but we're going to talk about two, which we're going to talk about, let's say employees. That's fine. That's probably not the right way to say it, and then companies. And I said that there's three because they're recruiters, and actually I'm going to make an announcement here pretty soon, which is we're going to be releasing just a flash release of a book we had kind of in the back burner. We thought about doing this project, but then this whole thing has completely accelerated, and we said, okay, we gotta divert all energies to this. And the book is gonna be called Surviving the Quarantine, and it's gonna be for individuals and for companies, for them to figure out there's just no more, well, maybe we can do it later, or yeah, this is too hard. We gotta figure it out because we are in isolation and social distancing, but we still have to work. We still have to be productive. Okay. So my contention here is why hasn't employees or companies, why haven't they figured out this whole remote work? What's standing in the way? Okay. So we're gonna start with companies, and then we're gonna start with individuals, let's say, and that's probably a better word than employees. So let me do that. Individuals. Because really, it's 2020, guys. You really have to start thinking about yourself as a self-contained enterprise, right? With your own marketing functions, with your own production functions, with your own delivery functions, with your own logistical things, but that's probably a different video for a different day. So we're going to talk about individuals and companies. Let's start with companies. Why haven't they figured out? Well, it's hard to keep track, right? It's hard to keep track of what people are doing remotely, right? This is the reason why. See, companies know that most people are not productive for an 8-hour day, all 8 hours. Nobody's productive 8 hours evenly. Sometimes you might only be productive 5 minutes of the whole day, sometimes a few hours, but usually not 8 hours, right? But, okay, it's too hard to kind of keep track and figure it out, so we're just gonna make everybody come in, and they come in at 9, and then leave at 5, and if they look busy, then we're gonna say, okay, well, I'm sorry, but in 2020, this is not gonna cut it anymore, okay? So companies, you gotta figure out how to keep track. My suggestion is, and let me grab the green, I have it over here. My suggestion is that you keep track not on hours, but on tasks. Okay? So what I tell people is, if I'm going to give you the flexibility to, let's say, work from home or work from wherever you need to be, right? then I'm going to keep you accountable on the things that we need to do and the deadlines we need them by. I don't care if you wake up in the middle of the night to do them. I don't care if you sleep all day and you clap your hands or snap your fingers and it gets done. As long as it's done, that's what I'm paying you for. And this is a completely different mindset than keeping track of hours, right? Because it's hard to keep track of hours, and for example, platforms like Upwork and stuff like that, they still kind of keep track of hours, which I think is, I understand why they're doing it, but companies need to figure out how to keep people on tasks, okay? So here's another reason why they don't want to do this. The technology, it's too hard, right? It's like, man, the calls, they don't work. It's like, what do we do? What do we do, right? And my advice for companies is like, well, there's no one size fits all. There's no customized solution for you. There are some companies that can afford maybe that level, but usually those are not clients of mine, so we're not going to talk about those. But whatever it is, generally you need to customize. You need to customize what is called the tool chain. Okay, so you're gonna need a series of things, and in the book that we're writing, actually we think we're gonna release it flash release on Friday. So yeah, I just got done releasing one book, and I'm gonna release another one. Yeah, this is one that's gonna be pretty rough though, but we just need to get it out there because this is that important, and it's happening now. It's not happening next week. John was telling me, we talked to the virus. We asked the virus if he could wait. The virus said no. So there you go. So we gotta customize your own tool chain. Okay? So the tool chain is, what are all those different pieces? Generally, when I'm working with clients, we have all these different tools, and the real magic happens not because we use a particular tool, a particular way, but because we're able to connect several things to be able to get as close to, something like 99.9% reliability, maybe 99% reliability, right? That may sound like a lot, but that means that 1 out of 100 calls fails, and if you're a company, you're going to be doing a lot of calls. So again, you want it to be very close to something like a phone system. A phone system has something like 5 nines, right? So 99.999% of the time, you get a dial phone and everything is fine. So that's the reliability that we're aiming for. So you have to figure out that part. Also, companies don't know how to do the interaction, right? Let's say the social interaction. Okay, this is something else that we're kind of developing, but really as a society, we're all kind of developing, right? Because what we need to do is we need to come up with rules. And we're kind of doing that. For example, now we have something. If you send a text to somebody and you let them see that you saw the text and you don't answer, that starts to be considered rude. It depends on the text, right? But generally you can be like, I left it on scene, right? I left the text on scene, right? And that's like we're developing etiquette. We're developing manners as far as our digital world, which is crazy, right? I mean, it's insane. But we're doing it. Well, we need social cues and rules as far as one-on-one or group interaction through video, through webcam, right? So for example, one of the things we need to figure out is, if somebody uses video, does everybody need to have video? I'm of the tendency that yes, everybody should have video. Well, what does that entail? Well, that entails a whole series of things, and this is what we're gonna pick up for individuals, right? Because now you were talking about video, you're talking about audio, you're talking about background, you're talking about lighting, all these things, right? So what happens is that, well, now this is like a studio, man. But hey, this is when you are on a webcam, when you are on video on a service like Zoom that we like to use. By the way, guys, it's Zoom meeting. Please reach out. We want to do some kind of deal with you guys. But when we're there, that image, that projected image of you is your your representation as a human to that group. And if you don't have that figured out, it really matters. And again, it's been many years that people don't even have sometimes working cameras, or the cameras don't really work as well as they could, right? So we got to figure all this out. So this is why companies are not doing, but they need to do this now. There's no time to wait. Now they got to jump on it, right? So if you're a company, if you're looking to hire, if you already have help, how do you structure this? How do you structure? And we haven't even talked about some other things, right? So let's do a few of the ones that we don't have time, because I don't want to make this video too long. But so, for example, meetings, right? How often should meetings be, right? Every week, same time. What if people are going to be given flexibility? What does that look like, right? Maybe the flexibility now. It's not full flexibility. Maybe they need to be there present for different things. It's tough. You got to figure it out. There are no rules now. You make up the rules. So this is why this is difficult. Right? What other things they haven't figured out? How about progress? How do you keep progress? Right? You can't swing by somebody's desk and say, "Hey, Johnny, how's that project going?" Right? You can't do that. So how do you manage all those things? All right, let's jump to individuals, because this is just going to get longer and longer. So for individuals, one of the things that, and this is crazy because, see, all this stuff for work, it seems like it's like intellectual or like academic or technological, right? But a lot of the difficulties that individuals have are interpersonal. So when people, and I've been working from home for a while, about 4 years, 5 years almost. So plus I did a lot of freelance stuff before that, so I'm kind of used to it. And the discipline that I learned through music has really, that's invaluable help. But the reason that I say interpersonal is because the question is, do you have the drive? Do you have the motivation? Do you have the discipline to actually get things done, right? And this is where these two things connect. Tasks and, the interpersonal challenges, right? So this is something like, talk about soft skills. Discipline. Discipline. So can you develop the discipline to actually, when people have told me forever since I've been working from home or from wherever I am, well, Gabe, I would love to do that. I want to do that. But you know what? Most people just cannot do it because they cannot make themselves do it. Heck, they can't even make themselves, eat the right stuff or go to the gym as many times as they need to, or they promise themselves that we're going to go. So, but you need that. This is very important. If you don't have that, then, big problem. The other problem is also technological, and we're going to address a lot of this in the book, by the way. So let's draw here technological. So now, not as a company, but as an individual, how do I figure out what are the tools that I need to be good at? Now, a lot of young people, millennials and younger, I consider myself a millennial. I am a millennial, but even the younger guys, sometimes I'm like, how do you not know how to do this or how to do that? So you got to be able to get familiarized with the tools. Like really familiarize yourself with the tools, not just kind of tap around and John's business partner in a different company calls it the monkey slap, right? You just slap the thing until it does something, right? No, you got to really figure out how to use these tools. And a lot of people, for example, we're training companies on how they can habilitate different machines and be able to change the BIOS. The BIOS is like the software that kind of goes integrated with the motherboard on a computer that tells the computer, oh, okay, yeah, somebody just turned, we have power, we have a screen, we have all this stuff. If you can tell the BIOS to do different things. Back in the day, we used to be able to press a key, right? And you get to the blue screen, remember the blue screen, or the gray screen sometimes, and you could start in safe mode. Remember that? Some of you might. But again, all these kinds of things, usually about something like 5% of the population has the computer skills to do this. And I'm sorry, we're 2020, and now this is no longer okay. We need something like 20% of the population to be able to do this, right? If not, if not more, I mean, heck, 50% of the population, something like that, right? That would be important. Which brings us to, the next thing, which is connecting with the video, the audio, right? How, let's write it in red. The how do I do a meeting, right? If I'm being interviewed for a job remotely, right, via camera. I was just talking to my business, John's brother, Michael. He's a recruiter, and he's a recruiter that has looked at over 65,000, just told me a little bit ago, 65,000 resumes over his career. That's a lot of resumes. And he's placed millions of dollars in placements, in positions placements in all kinds of different companies, right? And we are, one of the chapters that we're talking about, and where Michael is writing it, is how does Zoom fit into, how does video conferencing, how can I do this remotely so that I can start sifting through more candidates and get a feel for them? Because he says sometimes you call these guys and wow, they sound great, and the resume, it's like amazing, right? And then you have them in the office and you realize that the resume and everything is a great work of fiction. He was talking about the best, and the award for resume, magical realism goes to X, Y, and Z, because these people, they are nothing like what they purport to be, right? Or the other way around is also true, right? They don't sound that impressive, but then when you have them in the office, you go, wow, these guys are 10 times more productive than the rest of the team, and that happens all the time. So how do you do that? How do you present yourself? So if we're going to have this stuff remotely, we're going to interact, collaborate, brainstorm, produce, generate content, present, sell, pitch. All kinds of stuff. We're gonna be doing this from a camera. One of the hardest things, if you've never really done this. So if you'll see the monitor, right? And you're looking at the monitor, and many times you look at below, right? Because below is where you see your face or whatever, or maybe the faces of people, right, that you're talking to. And you got to train yourself that you got to look at the camera. You got to look at the camera, because that's the eye contact. If not, then you're looking. It's almost like you're talking to people's chin, and nobody likes to be, what are you looking at, right? Do I have something? So all these kinds of things, we're learning them, and we've been developing them, FaceTime. A lot of people use FaceTime. A lot of people use video on Messenger, on Facebook, right? I've talked to, people, family and, people like that through, and we've been developing that, but now the learning curve just accelerated. We got to figure this out now. Okay, so to that end, I'm reaching out to everybody, all my Facebook friends, and anybody who's watching the video, people who follow me on other places, and my Facebook page, and all of that, and LinkedIn too. To that end, we are going to be doing a group, and we're going to be basically reaching out to companies that need to figure this out and need systems. They need the tool chains, they need the procedures, they need the technology. They need to figure out how to do this reliably. Again, our job, we want to get to 99.9% reliability of calls. Okay, that means that 1 in 1,000 calls might fail, right? And that's closer to what we want. It's not ideal, but let's say that as a first step. So we're going to be reaching out to companies to do that, but we're also reaching out to individuals. So if you're an individual, and I have several people who sent me a message or liked or comment on my post this morning or yesterday talking about remote work. If you're an individual, I have I have a person that I know that owns a school. I have a couple of people who work in real estate. And all these kinds of things have virtual applications, virtual avenues that we could start using some of this. And this is going to be so important, because I promise you, what we're looking at right now, we've never seen before. And this is going to change everything. Okay, people are going to reevaluate supply chains. People are going to reevaluate travel. People are going to reevaluate, and all kinds of interpersonal, person-to-person interaction, because we are so connected. We are so connected that what happens in one end of the world is going to affect the other end, and it's happened. We're experiencing it, right? And so now, before this, you could have said to people, look, we got to figure out the whole remote thing. People can do this on their own and all this stuff. And we see that there's some obstacles, and especially the interpersonal obstacles. I mean, how do you, people don't take disciplines, lessons in college, right? Although they should. But we're gonna have to figure this whole sociological, technological, interpersonal, psychological procedure for individuals. So if you're an individual looking to, okay, I gotta figure this whole remote work thing, and so work from home used to be like one of those phrases you can't advertise because it was really sleazy. Oh, you could just work from home and all this stuff. But I'm sure you've experienced it. You meet more and more people now that have like legit salaried with benefits jobs, and others that do a freelance, but they also have a nice stable thing. I don't have a salary, right? I'm involved in many different businesses, but I essentially work from wherever I am. I don't like to say that I work from home because I'm sometimes I'm home a lot now because we're quarantined, but I usually I like to work wherever I am. I like that feeling of flexibility with my time and my schedule and my being places, right? Last year, I traveled to Europe, to Africa, to South America, and I was working the whole time, right? And I like that feeling. So if you're somebody who's trying to figure that out, right? From all these different standpoints, you're gonna need help. So I suggest that you like or comment on this video. Tell me, and a lot of you I know, so I just know I'll just put you on the list. We're creating a Facebook group, and I'm gonna be posting this video there, and we're gonna be doing that book. Like I said, we're gonna be thinking about releasing it at the end of this week. And we're gonna start to reach out to companies, start to reach out to individuals, start matching them, start training them, start figuring this all out. This is gonna be a lot of work. There's no free money. There's no just use your phone and you can make money doing forex or anything like that. Nothing like that. This is real life work, because we are on that new trajectory. This is a new economy. This is a brand new economy. Okay, and we don't know. We have no idea how all the things that are going to change, but we know that we know of the trends that are already changing. And for me, this whole thing is just going to accelerate all these changes. And if you don't get on it right now, I promise it's not just going to get better. I promise it's not just going to go back to normal. We'll find a new normal, right? But it will be different. And the question is, will you take this opportunity to sleep, right? To rest? Is this vacation? Is this a snow day? Or is this a day where you're going to freak out and not gonna know what to do, right? And you kind of get really nervous and neurotic? Or is this a day where you're gonna say, okay, hold on, let me figure out what I need to do. I'm gonna be calm, and I'm gonna start working towards that change that is basically upon us, and that we won't be able to escape. From China to the US to Europe. This is a new world, and I'd like for all of us that are developing the skills to be there and to be better because of this. And a lot of people, unfortunately, are going to be left behind, and they're going to be sitting there wondering what happened. And so don't let that be you. Be proactive. This is not the time to just kind of sit back and see what happens. Seeing what happens is not a good position to be. Take action. Do some stuff. And again, I'm not trying to sell you on anything. Just join the group, start learning these things. Eventually, we're gonna put the book in. At the end of the week, it's gonna be like a $10 book, but we'll put it at 99 cents. We'll start getting some reviews. We're gonna start and get some feedback, because we need a lot of feedback from all these different industries to see what it would be, because we all need to, like the book says, survive the quarantine. How you can thrive in the post-coronavirus economy.